Hi there, Michael P. Coleman, Content Director for Brother Be Well. Thank you for watching Brother Be Well's Youth Substance Youth Prevention Series, supported by Elevate Youth California, funded through Proposition 64.
So then it's even more dangerous to play around with. It's not something to be played with. Those long-term effects, I understand, are mental disorders. Again, depression, antisocial personality disorder. It messes with your body, I understand, liver failure, kidney disease, sexual dysfunction. None of that I want to deal with. None of us, even with the passage of time, want to deal with any of that, let alone dealing with it because of something I shot or snorted up. Am I missing any others of those that you're aware of, Roland? Any other reasons to leave that thing alone?
Well, with all due respect, a lot of the stuff that you said doesn't really necessarily apply to heroin. Heroin is a drug that if you use clean heroin, there are people who use clean, pure heroin with clean needles or just snort it, they can use for decades without having a lot of those things. They have some sexual dysfunction because you can't ejaculate, you become numb in that area. Certainly there's some numbness and some tired sleepiness, emotional numbness. But in terms of its damage to the organs, the damage to the body comes from the additives, the cut. Heroin itself is not that dangerous in that regard. So with other drugs like amphetamine or cocaine, it eats up your skin. And this thing you were talking about, text, people do that with cocaine just to test the purity of it. It's a good taste when you do like that. That's not heroin.
Thank you for saying that. I was going to ask when he said something about your teeth. I didn't know what he was talking about.
People
that's what he's getting at.
And they do like this, and give them a little bit of rush. But cocaine has a really distinctive taste on your gums. Heroin is a nasty taste. You wouldn't do that with heroin. But what happens is that it's the additives that cause the problems. It's the needle itself, and it's whatever the drug was cut with. If you get pure heroin, and we saw that people were using heroin addicts, stay heroin addicts for 30 years. It's the legal. Run out of money. You need more and more, so you start doing crime. You're high all the time, so you lose your relationships. Those are the kind of consequences: financial, medical, social consequences. The physical consequences, even the psychological consequences, mostly the physical, are caused by additives to the substance. If you're using pure heroin, you won't have that. Psychologically, you become dependent and less engaged and socially not available, not able to do a lot of things. But yeah, so heroin is probably, if you were going to use any drug on long term, we see a lot of people who have used heroin for decades.
Can you talk about let's talk about overdose, and we've been talking about cocaine and heroin, Roland. So can you talk about both of them for us? We're once again we're running a little short of time, but I got to get it. What does an overdose of heroin look like, and an overdose of cocaine? Can you describe those to us?
Yeah, people, when you overdose of cocaine, you're usually overdosing from a heart attack because you're racing your engine. Your heart is a stimulant, so it causes your heart to beat really, really fast. And so a cocaine overdose could be a heart attack. You could also get psychotic. It wouldn't necessarily be an overdose, but you could get psychotic and put yourself in a very dangerous situation. You get paranoid, you're freaking out, your mind is spinning, so you might put your judgment would be impaired, and you might put yourself in a dangerous situation. So cocaine overdose is usually related to the heart. Heroin overdose is you just over-sedated. Heroin overdose, as we said in the previous session, you just kind of doze off. You pass out. You're so sedated that you go to sleep and you never wake up. What heroin does is it knocks you out. You nod, and you just nod right out. You don't come out of it.
Roland, you and I are going to have a one-on-one. You've got a personal story that is almost unprecedented, honestly. I spent some time on your site, got to know you a little bit this summer. Can you briefly describe for us today, though, what prompted you to kind of try to come back to us, so to speak? You're in the throes of addiction. What brought you back?
Well, I think everybody, if the price is right, they'll stop. It gets to a point in your life where the thought of continuing becomes more scary than the thought of stopping. And for me, I think everybody has to figure out what that price is for them. And for me, it was I had a kid. I had a 4-year-old son, and I'm adopted. And he was my first blood. And I never had a dad, never saw him, never knew him. And I wanted to be a good dad. And I realized at one point that if I didn't stop doing what I was doing, my son didn't have a chance. And I love that baby with all my heart. And my addiction prevented me, even though I was there physically, emotionally, and psychologically, I wasn't there his first 4 years. I was there, but I don't ever remember changing a diaper or watching him take his first steps. He never had a car seat, And one day I had a moment of clarity looking at him in the back seat, and I realized if I kept doing what I was doing, he didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
And so I stopped. That was the beginning of the end for me. And I wound up going to treatment 6 months after I had that moment of clarity, and went to rehab and went to a support group meeting. And I've been clean and sober since June 10th, 1986. My son is now 40 years old. And I've told him his whole life he was my motivation for getting clean and sober. His little brother is 31. And next Friday, me and them and my brother, who I used to use with, are going to Hawaii to play golf. And my son is a dad now, a 40-year-old is a dad. I got to take him to Cub Scout meetings. I got to teach him how to drive, to help him tie his tie, to take him to the Army, to pick him up from the Army. I got to do all of that because I stopped using. But he was my reason. And everybody's just got to find a reason that works for them. It's different for different people.
Yeah. Appreciate you sharing it. We're going to get a little bit deeper into that in that one-on-one with you and I, Roland. So looking forward to that conversation. And you can look to this site, brotherbewell.com for more on that. We got to wrap this one up. I'm going to toss it to Tex first, Tex, and then you, Aldo. What's your number one takeaway from this conversation, Tex?
I would definitely say I really appreciate the knowledge Mr. Roland just put us on. It's something that's really important to consider, especially as we grow as young men. The exposure we have and the people we put around us does really kind of determine the paths that we choose. And when it comes to like cocaine and heroin, these are really dangerous things that can deter somebody from the path they're going on. And it's really also important in terms of staying away from these drugs, having that reason that gives you your sense of clarity without having to rely on these drugs. So I really appreciate that. And it gives me a sense of clarity now in terms of me just being exposed to different people and seeing how they approach and the knowledge they have on these drugs. I feel like now I can speak to them a little bit more when they start showing maybe signs of interest in these things. And, as you were saying, like, don't have too much curiosity because it can be detrimental. So I really appreciate the conversation, and I look forward to just keep learning more.
I appreciate you saying that. We're lucky. There aren't very many forums that let Black and brown brothers get together to talk about stuff like that, right? Let alone with somebody like Roland who's lived it. We can do all the research in the world. Roland, you being willing to share that personal experience is invaluable. Really want to thank you for that. Aldo, closing thoughts from you for people that are listening or watching.
Yeah, really quickly, I just wanted to say that I'm very grateful that I'm in this position to learn about these topics. And if I wasn't in this type of academy or program, I would have gone the rest of my life not knowing until it's right in front of me. And then I would have had to, play with the cards that I'm dealt with. And then I would have had to figure it out as I went on. So I just wanted to say thank you, Roland, so much for all of the knowledge. And going back to what Michael said, you sharing your personal story, because we could do a bunch of research. We can look at the data, look at the numbers, but you telling us your personal story, you getting real, you telling us straight up how it is, how you felt like that you loved it, that, you had a moment of clarity. Like, I really appreciate that. Hearing your story, looking at you now, like, there is hope. There is hope for people who are, suffering from addiction and want to get clean. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making that decision a long time ago. And, it's always a pleasure listening from you. And
Thanks, Aldo. Thanks, Tex.
Really want to thank you, Aldo. Roland, they did a far better job of thanking you than I can do. So I'm going to just leave it alone and just rubber stamp both of them. Roland Willams, Master Addictions Counselor. Thank you, sir. Tex and Aldo, two of our youth at Brother Be Well. Thanks to all of y'all for being a part of this conversation.
1 second, Michael. One quick thing. The thing we always knew, the thing that I would leave you with to take away is that we already know how dangerous heroin, and people don't know what they don't know. And so the more information you have, the better. We already knew, though, that heroin and cocaine were dangerous. It's different now than it was 10 years ago, because any powder that you get, anything, one bad decision could end your life. One area of curiosity could end your life, because 10 years ago, we weren't worried about fentanyl. We weren't worried about being cut with something that was going to kill you instantly. Now we have to worry any powder that you get that's not coming from a pharmacy, you got to worry that it's cut with something. So it's 10 times more dangerous, 100 times more dangerous, that you're playing Russian roulette. Anytime a young person picks up heroin or cocaine, they could die. I would leave.
I understand. You mentioned earlier before we got started, Roland, that you're going to be traveling soon. Would you be willing to have a conversation with us at Brother Be Well about that hierarchy that you talked about? Because I just thought about gateway drugs. People say that even marijuana is a bit of a gateway to some of these other things we've been talking about. And I wouldn't mind and I love the expression you just had. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but that's the kind of conversations I like to have at Brother Be Well, talking about, how trying cocaine can lead to something else, how trying marijuana and using it in the wrong way. Now, marijuana is legal in, I think, 36, 37 states across the country, but you got to be careful about what you're doing, especially if you're doing marijuana and something else, and it could cause some long-term problems. Would you be willing to have that conversation with us?
Absolutely. I'd love to. I love this stuff. I love talking about this, and you can tell I feel pretty strongly about it. I got personal and professional experience. So I'm happy to. And I love working with you guys, this population, this group of young men. I'm just ecstatic about the opportunity to participate in this.
I really thank you for that. We'll be calling on you again. Thank you, sir. Roland Willams, Master Addictions Counselor, Aldo Mohedano, and Tex Wambui, are two of our youth at Brother Be Well. Thanks to all of y'all.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you, man. Take care of yourself.
Y'all take care.
Bye-bye.
And I want to thank you for listening in or watching this video. If you've seen or heard something that intrigues you and you want to learn a little bit more about this topic or about any of the work that Brother Be Well does, go to brotherbewell.com. We're interested in the behavioral health of boys and men of color, African American, Latinx, Asian and Pacific Islander, Native and Indigenous, and the LGBTQIA+ communities that inform those cultural communities. Boys and men of color 13 and up, that's who we are, Brother Be Well. Go check it out. Join as a member. You can join as a member for free right now. While you're there, sign up for our blog, and 2 or 3 times a week when videos just like this one go live, you'll get something that pops up in your inbox. Do it all at brotherbewell.com. My name again, Michael P. Coleman, Content Director for Brother Be Well. Great to be with you as always. And I'm going to ask you to do my 2 quick things. You know them by now. Take great care of yourself, and then take great care of somebody else. Till next time, bye now.
Hey, what's up? My name is Devontae Springer. This is my testimonial on the Brother Be Well Youth Substance Abuse Prevention group sessions that we held this summer. For starters, I want to say I appreciate all the insight that I got from the young men that was participating in the sessions. It was youth from all across the country, and that was nice to be able to, just hear some of you guys' experiences and hear how you guys are navigating through your challenges. So I want to say thank you guys for teaching me something this summer. And also I just want to say keep up all the good work. I've seen a lot of leadership, and I've seen a lot of bright futures. So please stay on the right path that you guys are on. I also want to say I appreciate the mentors and also all the professionals that came. They brought the slideshows, they brought presentations, and they brought all their knowledge and their experience to the table, and they dropped a lot of gems on us this summer. And I definitely want to say I appreciate that, because that helps me not only in my professional world, but also just in personal life too. So all around, I think this platform is amazing, and it gives us something positive to do during the summer. And we're talking about and also learning about issues that young men of color face. And we all come together and we talk about solutions, and also we just have a safe space where we can get things off our chest, and talk amongst our peers and other men, in a safe environment. And I think that it's just, it speaks for itself. It gives us a positive environment that lets us go back into the day and forget about our stress. And then you have the professionals that came in and they gave us all the science and the data that surrounds, you know, substance abuse and some of the side effects and how it affects your mental and your physical health, and also how it affects your people that's closest to you. And so, you know, all the knowledge that I learned this summer from this platform, I'm definitely going to use it in my life, and I'm definitely appreciative of this. So, huge shout out to Brother Be Well. I look forward to being a part of more productions like this. So, thank you.